Court documents expose Watchtower's secret elders handbook. Now, have you ever seen the Shepherding the Flock of God book? There's two of them there. One's the first one's the older one, and then came this newer one. We're gonna take a look at that a little bit here from the court standpoint of view. But what I found was interesting is the elders book is out. It's no longer a secret. It's in court documents. We're going to take a look at a few court documents. Now, if you want to take a look at the elders book, the 2024 edition, you can go to our YouTube channel. And right down here, we have a playlist. Now, I clicked on playlist here. You click down here, there's a playlist. And this playlist has all the different chapters of the elders book all the way through. There's 21 videos. You know, for instance, video number 8, J.W. Elders book, chapter 12, How to Disfellowship, part 3. So we read this cover to cover, and you're more than welcome to check that out on our YouTube site. Now, thanks to Watchtower, they kind of cued us in on this one. Jehovah's Witness Elder Manual is online. So I got looking at it. It's been online for a while. Now what they're referring to, it's online in court. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. This is a court document. I'm gonna give you a link to some of this stuff that I cover, that I go over, so you can check it out for yourself. These are court documents on the internet. This is from court. I'll just move my. This is Court Listener by Free.Law. So I don't know how Watchtower. These are links under their video. So I pulled all these links up. So I was looking at this one. This is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. This is when there was a motion. They wanted to stop. They were trying to go to Google and stop anybody from giving away their elders book, their secret elders book. And here's how it got squashed. This was put forth in the court, in the United States District Court for the Southern District in New York. And they call it Jane/John Doe Supplement, because these guys want to keep their names private, so that's how they do it. So this is a supplement in support of the motion to quash DMC subpoena. So I'm going to read this to you because this blew me away when I read it. This is a court document, remember, folks. This is not on Reddit or Quora or any kind of talk site. This is in the United States District Court. This is a court document, document 16. It shows when it was filed there. Well, here's how it reads. It says, attached is the most recent edition of the Watchtower Pedophile Cults publication, Shepherd the Flock of God. So there it is, the Watchtower's Pedophile Cults publication, Shepherd the Flock of God. That's how they viewed it. That's how they put it in this court document. Watchtower Pedophile Cults publication, Shepherd of the Flock of God. You'd think you'd read that on Reddit or something, but this is what's being put forth in the courts. We're going to take a look at some of these documents that are getting read. Now this one, it says along with a confidential memo, some recent updates and changes. This is a book strictly elders' eyes only, top secret, right? So that's what they have in there, elders' eyes only. And it details the procedures for the concealment of child sex abuse, along with their practices of isolation and indoctrination of their members and their internal judicial procedures and financial affairs. And it puts another sentence in here. This is super secret stuff. I didn't know they talk like that, but that's how they talk to the courts. This is super secret stuff. Concealment of child sex abuse along with their practices of isolation. Now, it says here, of specific relevance to the court is the Watchtower's rules with regard to contact and association with apostates and other individuals who have been disfellowshipped or kicked out of the cult. It's a rule. So this court document is just putting it forth. And then when you get into the document here, this is right out of the Elders book, number 17 on disfellowshipping. It's, what is this, chapter 12, section 17 at page 84, something like that. Or that's where they're to go next. But anyways, here's what it is. Willful, continued unnecessary association with disfellowshipped or disassociated non-relatives, despite repeated counsel, would warrant judicial action. So there it shows there that if you have association with someone that's disfellowshipped or left the organization, just disassociated themselves, and you did it repeatedly, that you will get judicial action. And apostasy, deliberately spreading teachings contrary to the Bible truth. Apostasy. So what if you're not spreading teachings contrary to the Bible truth? What are you? You see, I think they got that wrong. Apostasy is walking away from the Jehovah's Witness. Like, apostasy to a Jehovah's Witness is walking away from their religion. To them, that's apostasy. And speaking bad about it. You know, maybe you don't like the blood transfusion thing. You don't like the idea of them coercing children into dying so they can be martyrs and heroes in some magazine later on. They're dead. Because the blood transfusion doctrine that Jehovah's Witnesses hold, they will die. Let's say I don't believe in that. I'm an apostate, deliberately spreading teachings, not contrary to the Bible, but contrary to the Watchtower. That's how it should really read, contrary to the Watchtower. But anyways, this is their book. This is their Secret Elders book. Here's one. If one obstinately is speaking about or deliberately speaking false teachings, this may be or may lead to apostasy. This is right in their Elders book. Causing division. See how they would go around the congregation looking for one who is obstinately speaking about or deliberately spreading something that is not true to them? You know, so people in the Watchtower, they're very on edge when it comes to talking about the Bible and talking about things, because they don't want to be cast as an apostate just for even exploring some ideas in the Bible or asking some questions outside of the Watchtower. Now, causing divisions, this would be deliberate action disrupting the unity of the congregation or undermining the confidence of the brothers in Jehovah's arrangement. It may involve or lead to apostasy, causing divisions. So there's a lot of stuff that they have in there. Certificate of service, announcements and reminders, the attention of all the elders. They have revised, so they revise it. Chapter 12, chapter 20. Congregation should not use broadcasting service that stores the audio or video files that subjects users to commercial advertisement or allows users to post comments. Congregation should not broadcast it. Congregation should transmit meetings live rather than record them, so they don't want any recording. Also, those attending meetings held via Zoom or other video conferencing in any language may allow their video to be displayed. So these are some things. There's the Shepherding the Flock book. These are all court documents, folks. This is all in the court. The whole Elders book. So we're going to go to the next one. This one, it's an older Elders book, and on page 11 here, right when you're getting into it, chapter 2, how elders' bodies work together as a body. It says, obey direction coming from agencies used by the faithful and discreet slave, including the branch committees, traveling overseers, and others appointed by the governing body to take the lead. So you will obey direction from the governing body, from the faithful slave. This is the governing body. Now, just before that, it says, let the Bible be your guide in making decisions. But then it says, obey direction coming from the agencies. So I wanted to just to make the point a little stronger. When we go to the dictionary and when you use the Bible as a guide, well, it's a structure or a marking which directs the motion or positioning of something. A person who advises or shows the way to others. So it shows or indicates the way to someone. It's kind of like a road sign, guide. When we look at obey, it's to comply with the command, the direction or request of a person or a law. Submit to the authority of. So you're submitting to the authority of the governing body. You're obeying them. I always obey the governing body. You could use that in the sentence. Okay, the next one is carry out a command or an instruction. The Jehovah's Witness officer was convicted for refusing to obey the governing body. You see, if you refuse to obey the governing body, you'll be thrown out of the congregation. So yeah, you could fit the whole JW story into the word obey, guide. I guess what they're saying here is you let the Bible be your guide. It's just a road sign. There's nothing in the Bible you got to obey. You know, like if I was going to put that forth as a religious organization talking to my elders, wouldn't you want them to obey God, obey Jesus? The governing body could be a guide. Wouldn't it make sense that the governing body is more of a guide, more of a road sign? You know, they like to be the separate entity in New York and they don't want to be blamed for anything. It's everyone else's fault. But we know that they're involved so thoroughly that they want you to obey them. Obey them. And if you don't obey them, you're kicked out. It's really that simple. So I wanted to show you that. That's in this particular Elders book. These are all in court documents. Shephard, the Flock of God. This was an older book, Elders book, that was back in 2015, 2010. Right there, 2015. See the letter dating. So this one was 2010. So it looks like they used it to 2015. It's the whole thing. We're going to go to the next one. This is another court document, Shephard, the Flock of God, April 2021. This is a newer one. And this is all in there under offenses. This is all court documents, sexual immorality. Offenses requiring review by the elders, all the offenses. Could you imagine being a judge, a judge in a court of law, and you're reading this elders book? Like it's the elders book is set up like its own judicial system. It's its own private judicial system, and it's not done fairly. You know, in other words, the people that are brought in, they can't have their own lawyer. They can't bring in their own witnesses. You can't bring in witnesses outside of the organization. So there's a lot of rules that are very culty in this organization. If you're a judge reading this stuff, you're going to go, wow. So they get into the sexual immorality, porneia, everything. Strong circumstantial evidence of sexual immorality, porneia, they call it. Adulterous marriages. Child abuse. There's only a little section here for child abuse. This is the elders book. Now there's a huge chapter on child abuse because they got their butt sued off them in court over and over again because of this elders book. We're going to show you some of the stuff in the next exhibit. We're going to look at some exhibits. But it goes on, gross uncleanness with greediness. You know, they get into everything, monetary touching of intimate body parts and caressing of breasts. You know, they get into all this, and they ask very pointed questions on all of this stuff. Immoral conversations over the telephone or the internet. viewing abhorrent forms of pornography, a misuse of tobacco or marijuana, and abuse of medical, illicit, or addictive drugs. Although there is a section in the New Elders book where you can use marijuana now, if it's legal and you have a doctor's prescription, and no one knows about it. That's their big thing. No one can know about it. Extreme physical uncleanness, you can get disfellowship for. Brazen conduct. The Greek word for brazen is, what do they call it? Very forceful. Lasciviousness. Wantonness. Lasciviousness. Brazen conduct. I don't know. They just use a bunch of dictionaries, definitions for the elders. Unnecessary association with disfellowshipped or disassociated individuals. Right there, its own section. Unnecessary association with. So you can't just take your disfellowshipped brother or sister to a movie, spend an evening together, eat some popcorn, or go fishing with your disfellowshipped father on Father's Day. You can't do any of that. Unnecessary association with disfellowshipped or disassociated individuals. You will get, if it's willful and continued and unnecessary, it says it right here, you will be dealt with. It says if it's repeated, counsel would warrant judicial action. So they'll talk to you a couple of times. Then they'll set up a judicial meeting, 3 elders. And then you can get disfellowshipped. Dating through non-scripturally free to remarry. You know, if you get a divorce through the court of the land, it's not good enough. You got married through the court of the land, so why can't you get a divorce through the court of the land? It's not good enough for Jehovah's Witnesses. It has to be based on fornication or adultery. So you'd have to track down the person that you divorced and find out, are they sleeping with anybody? Let's say they stayed single, the person you divorced, and then you want to get married. Years roll by. You want to get married. You can't, because now you got to figure out, did your ex commit adultery? What if they're not sleeping with anybody? You know, this is how stupid this religion gets into this stuff. It's crazy. They'll deal with you like you're a criminal if you're dating, though not scripturally free to remarry. They'll deal with you like a criminal. Drunkenness. There's a section on that. Gluttony. You know, if everyone's going to the if everyone's going to the smorgasbords and eating several plates, maybe they'll get you on that one. I've never heard of that. Most of the elders are at the smorgasbords eating 2 or 3 or 4 plates because it's a good deal and they don't have to eat the rest of the day. That's what they say. So I don't know about gluttony, but it's in there. Stealing and thievery, of course, that would be there. Deliberate, malicious lying and bearing false witness, of course. So fraud, slander, reviling, obscene speech, greed, gambling, extortion. It doesn't end there. Refusal to provide for family. Fits of anger, violence, domestic violence. Manslaughter, apostasy is the standing away from true worship, falling away, a defection, rebellion, abandonment. It includes the following. It includes all these things. So if you're celebrating false religious holiday, you're an apostate. If you're participating in interfaith activities at Christmas time or New Year's or any of those times, you know, there's some interfaith activities going on and you're up there singing with a bunch of other carolers, you know, bringing joy to the world, you're an apostate. Deliberately spreading teachings contrary to the Bible truth. Well, it's contrary to the Watchtower. That's really what it is. And if you're causing divisions and promoting sex, not sex, sects, you know, like little groups. So what happens is some JWs would form little groups, and they'd have little private Bible study groups, and they'd talk about all kinds of things. I heard of that, and they got publicly reproved. Employment, promoting false religion. Employment. So if you continue in employment that makes one an accomplice or a promoter of false worship, you'd be subject to one of disfellowshipping after 6 months to make needed adjustments. So let's say you're being employed, I don't know, promoter of false worship. What could employ you for that? Let's say you worked at the information booth for the community. You know, every city has an information. You come in and someone wants to know about the churches, so you promote all the churches. That's your job, to promote all the churches. They could get you on that. You see, they could get you for selling cigarettes at a grocery store. Let's say you worked in that counter, the service desk, and you had to sell cigarettes. That was part of your job. They would get you on that. Employment, promoting tobacco. So they get into all kinds of little rules, this organization. It's all coming out in the courts. Let's look at the next one. The next one is, are there trends toward worldliness? I highlighted that one. That's one of the questions. Are there trends toward worldliness? Like, what the hell? Worldliness. What's that mean? You know, a judge is looking at this in court. Are there trends toward worldliness? Like, there's nothing here. Moral cleanness, adding males to qualify for service. So that's another one. Males qualify for service responsibility. They make that clear. It's all about the males. It's a man religion, male religion. So that's the end of that one. That one is all the way up here. Exhibit G. This is Exhibit G. And it's pay attention to yourselves and to all the flock. This is like a elders training. Oh, it's a Kingdom Ministry School textbook. And they're using that in court. Confidentiality. Obviously, lots of people know about stuff because they have to talk about it here. You know, where elders have revealed confidential matters to their wives or others in the congregation, they're talking about it. So it is a problem. Your stuff is not confidential. And imitators of God. So they just have, and then they lay out the auxiliary, regular, pioneer. How well are people in the territory being reached? Moral cleanness. That's why I thought that was funny. Are there trends toward worldliness? Okay, the next exhibit, it says here, I have highlighted, if there is another witness to the same type of sin on the part of the accused person. What is that all about? Well, this is 2 elders if he denies it. So let's go up here. It's about sex. Judicial committees are not automatically formed if one is accused of a serious sin. What should be done if there's only one witness to the serious sin? You know, so what is this from? This is from their publication, Kingdom Ministry School textbook. Pay attention to yourself and to all the flock. So this is Exhibit S in the court, this particular court. And so judicial committees should not automatically be formed. So they want 2 witnesses. This is how they're getting around a CSA in the courts, and this is why the courts want to see this. What's their rules? Who's responsible for this? Are we going to blame this on the elders, or are we going to blame this on the organization that's giving the elders their instruction? Well, here it's quite clear. It's in the elders' handbook, the secret handbook. What should be done if there's only one witness to a serious sin? Well, it says the witness should confront the accused to encourage him to confess. So they want a little girl going up to her stepfather or something like that to confront him, to encourage him to confess. See, is that what I'm reading here? You see, this is an older elders book, and this is the way it was. Now, in the newer elders book, like I said, they have a whole chapter on CSA. So the courts have forced them to change. But they're being sued based on these old elders book. These old elders books were at play back then. You know, this is not too long ago, 2015, 2010. And this is how the elders dealt with stuff. If they didn't have 2 witnesses, then they wouldn't have a judicial committee. You know, if the bad guy said, I didn't do it, but the young girl says, yes, you did, they're not going to have a judicial committee. It's CSA, but it's a crime. CSA is a crime. And it's supposed to be reported to the police. Well, they're not even going to deal with it. It's going to get thrown out. So this is the next court exhibit. I highlighted this. It says, if efforts bring no response, then disfellowship. What's that all about? Well, this is about baptized minors. So you have these baptized kids, like in Norway, was fighting this, right? Now it says, when a baptized minor becomes involved in wrongdoing, that becomes a threat to the cleanness of the congregation. The committee should meet with such an individual just as they would do with any other member of the congregation. So they're going to deal with this kid the same way they would deal with an adult. That's what this book says. It's right there highlighted. It says it would be best to meet with the youth and his parents. It would be best, but you don't have to. I've had these elders meet with my kids without me there. And it says that they have the responsibility to raise him and train him. Now it's a him, eh? Boys are always getting into trouble. So it's the parents are the bad ones too. They're not without blame. And it says, try to restore the individual if this is possible, if it's even possible. What a negative book, eh? It doesn't say what they're going to do to restore this individual. But here's what it says in the next sentence. It says, if efforts bring no response, then disfellowship. Isn't that harsh? I find that very harsh for a young baptized minor. They have it highlighted here, baptized minor. They treat them just like an adult. And if they don't turn around, there's nothing there. Try to restore the individual if this is possible. You see, they don't know how to restore people. They're not psychologists. They're not family counselors. There's none of that. Most of these elders are window washers or janitors, from my experience. And they have lower education. They don't believe in higher education. It's actually a sin to send your kids to higher education. If you're an elder, they will delete you as an elder for doing such a thing. Now, just for this one, this is the Exhibit 0, Exhibit O, in this particular case. K-Cart versus Watchtower. Pay attention to yourself. This is an attachment, a document put in through the courts. And it's this book, Pay Attention to Yourself and to All the Flock, Kingdom Ministry School textbook. Overseers ruling for justice itself. All elders have a responsibility. It goes on, there's a lot of stuff. What is bad in Jehovah's eyes? So they go apostasy, they have that in there, teaching false doctrines. Can you help the person? So maybe this is what they can do. We want to help people if we can. Some matters may be handled by elders who hears of the wrongdoing. If you feel that your counsel will suffice to restore the individual. You see, there's how they help people, folks. If you feel that your counsel, that's counsel. That's all they do to help people, is give them counsel. What is that? Read Watchtower magazines and Bible scriptures and counsel. There may be other factors involved. The matters may have come up before. There may have been other wrongdoings concerning which she has knowledge. So this is a book about investigating. It says there are cases that the body of elders are responsible to investigate and, if necessary, appoint a committee to handle. So, and this is a big one. If you're going to, the gross sins, they bring this up, brought the congregation into public disrepute. So if you knew of a pedophile in the congregation and you made it public, that's a gross sin to make it public because it's against their rules. It's a gross sin. You made it public. Let's say you let a lot of people know. Let's say you even put a note on the bulletin board. You just took that upon yourself. Well, you'd be committing a gross sin because you'd bring the congregation into public disrepute. And they're going to deal with you and let the pedophile run around free, like without notifying people. You're going to be dealt with because you're bringing it forth. You see, you could be bringing the congregation, in their eyes, making the congregation look bad. And that's what it's all about. We don't want to make Jehovah look bad. We don't want to make the Watchtower look bad. It's all about public appearance. It's not about finding out the crime, which is pedophilia. It's covered up. And give the people some help, the victims. Get the victims some real help besides reading them Bible scriptures and counseling them. Now, the next and the last one I have is, if there is another witness to the same type of sin on the part of the accused, this would be basis for forming a judicial committee. So there you have it. You have to have another witness to the same type of sin. This is, again, another exhibit in another case. Exhibit C, this is still the K-Cart versus Watchtower. Elders book, pay attention to yourselves. They're really nailing them with all of their books in this court case. This is the Elders book itself and the 1991 edition of the Elders book. And Judicial Committee hearing processes, etc., same kind of stuff we just looked at. But the big thing is they want a little girl has to have a witness to the pedophile, or else it gets thrown out of the Jehovah's Witness court. Doesn't get handled. So that's what's happening. That's why this stuff is getting shown in court. And it's really making the Jehovah's Witness religion, it's really showing the true colors when we think of the Jehovah's Witness religion. And we look at those two elders' book. There's actually a third one. But these are the two that we mentioned. And again, we have a playlist with the latest elders' book on it. And you can, there's 21 videos in that playlist on that elders book. So that brings an end to this video, folks. Nothing's secret any longer. The courts have all the information. The judges are looking at how the Jehovah's Witnesses are working inside, how the elders are getting trained, and why they're covering up pedophilia. So they're finding out the answers, and now the governing body themselves are being sued. I ran a video about a week ago on that. The governing body themselves is from an old case again. They're getting sued. I counted 4 different lawsuits where the governing body members themselves are getting sued. So this is happening, folks. So stick with us. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps push the channel further. Please like, put comments in. And yeah, you know, all the normal stuff. That's what YouTube wants. So anyways, folks, keep living your life with love. When we do that, we don't need an elder's book. We live our life with love. We use that as the judicial rule in our family. So it's quite a bit different. By the way, the word love is only in the new elders book. It's only in there 5 times. The word love itself, it's only in there 5 times. You can do a word search. The word judicial is in there 337 times. So shepherding the flock of God, it's shepherding the flock of God with a rod. It's a disciplinary book. It's not a loving shepherding book at all. And it's all in the courts. So there you go. Okay, we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.